This might sound hard to believe, but I saved over $80 on steaks without having to switch to cheap meat. Today, I'm breaking down a whole ribeye that I picked up on a post-holiday deal and showing you how buying in bulk can save you some serious money and give you steaks cut exactly how you want them. If you've ever looked at a whole rib roast and thought, there's no way that I can afford that, well, I'm here to tell you, this video is for you. Welcome back to Goforth&Carnivore. This is a deals and mills video, real life, real results, and real savings. So let's cut into it. A lot of people hear whole ribeye and think, in this economy, there's no way that I can do it. And trust me, I get it. You might think that I'm some social media influencer that doesn't give a rip about what I'm buying for the content, but I can tell you that I look at the price of every single thing that I purchase. My wife and I, we have 3 kids. We have to look at prices. But when you buy the whole rib roast, especially on post-holiday sales, you're bringing your costs way down. Same meat, same quality, but much lower prices. Steak prices right now at Costco alone are $16.99 a pound. And at Walmart, I even saw them at $23 a pound. But with this deal, I was able to get it for $14.99 a pound. And with the $50 off with that post-holiday sale, I was able to get it to around $12 a pound. And in this meat economy right now, that is quite a steal. And for me, it works even better because I eat OMAD 1 meal a day. I fast so that I can feast. Eating one simple large meal a day beats out eating multiple meals a day that I have to eat like a peasant to be able to afford that. And in the long run, this saves me money. So much more money than I was ever spending eating the awful food before the carnivore lifestyle. And when you look at food through that lens, quality bulk buys just make sense. So let's talk tools. Nothing fancy. Sure, I do have some fancy things that I've built up over the years, but if you're just starting out and you're trying to make do with what you have, I'm here to talk with you too. So the very first thing you're gonna need is your cutting board. Right here, I have a very large cutting board. You don't have to have a large cutting board. You can get a smaller cutting board if that's what you're able to afford or that's all you have in your cabinets. You're also gonna need a breaker knife. This is a large breaker knife that cuts into large meats like this. But also, don't get me wrong, for years, I just used my large kitchen knife that came with my block. You don't have to go out and buy things. These are just things that I've been gifted or accumulated over my carnivore journey. Paper towels and a trash bag. Trust me, you're gonna want that for the mess that this can create because it can get messy if you don't clean it up the right way. You'll need some kitchen shears to cut through that meat bag. And if you don't own any kitchen shears, trust me, it's worth the investment. They're not that expensive. Mine came with my knife block when I got married almost 12 years ago, and we still use those suckers. You're also going to need some food safe storage bags. You can just do the normal storage bags that you zip up and put in the freezer, and you just have to make sure you pull all the air out of those. Or you can get the vacuum seal bags that you cut individually and put your steaks in, and then you'll need that vacuum sealer to seal those up. And this is a really good way to seal up your meat and be able to save up to 6 months to a year and never even notice a difference when you pull it, thaw it, and throw it on that grill. And then a whole ribeye. A whole ribeye that has set in the freezer for 1 hour to 2 hours. Trust me, to get those uniform, nice cuts that are easy to cut through, the firmer it is, the better it is. You don't want to go above 2 hours because it starts getting even more tough and you don't want to wear down your knife through that. And the last thing that you're going to need is patience. Because if you've never cut down a whole rib roast or whole strip loin or even a whole chuck, it can be so frustrating because you're expecting those uniform restaurant or even grocery store quality cuts. But give yourself some patience because if this is your first time, it might be a little messy. But hey, remember that these steaks taste just as good as they always have, but you're the one cutting them rather than getting them pre-cut and paying for that pre-cut price. And as a quick note, I'll add a link in the description for all the things I'm using today so you can check those out if you're interested. But I want to reiterate, you don't have to use any fancy gear. If all you have at home is a simple cutting board and the knife that comes in your block, or you need to run to the store and grab a cheap one, that's fine. The point is utilizing what you have to see the savings and the results that you get on carnivore. Because the results is not always about the weight loss or even the health. It's about saving money and enjoying your life while you're doing it. Because I'm saving money while eating ribeye, if you can believe it. And so now we're going to take this steak out of the bag that it came in from the store. And all I'm gonna do is take this grocery bag, set this right here. Because even with you freezing it for an hour or two, you're still gonna have the juices that come from it being stored up. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut into it without cutting into the meat. And I'm cutting around it so that I can lift it straight out of here. All right, so now I'm just gonna slide it back, take it out. Because what I'm trying to do is to keep all of the juices into this plastic wrap to where I'm not having to clean everything before I even start cutting my steaks up. So all I'm doing is putting that right there. I'm gonna take some paper towels, wipe this area up just so I can have some nice dry steaks as I put them away. So I like my steaks about 1.5 inches thick, but I don't use no ruler. I don't do anything fancy to make them 100% uniform. All I do is the 2-finger trick. I use my pointer finger and my middle finger to measure it out, and I start to cutting. And remember, this isn't about perfection. This is about just getting good quality meat out of what you have. And you can see that really pretty meat there. And these actually look a little bit more like 2 inches, but that's all right. I just personally don't like them really too thick because I feel like the way that Costco cuts them is that they're more like a roast rather than a ribeye steak. And so I like to buy them more as bulk from Costco to where I can control that thickness, because I want to have a good sear on the outside and have a good nice medium or medium rare on the inside. And the reason that I like this thickness is because I've learned that by cutting it about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, I need to quit waving this around, I do get it between a 18 to a 20 ounce ribeye, and that's about where I want to be eating each day. So the biggest thing that I want you to notice within these cuts is they're not all uniform and perfect. And sure, you can go out there and you can be angry and say, well, Jordan, that's just not a very nice steak. But I guarantee you, when I throw it on my grill and I chow down on this thing, it's gonna taste just as good. So one thing that I do wanna talk to you about is the fat lip. So at the bottom of this ribeye, there is this portion called the lip. And you can, when you buy a ribeye at the store, it's typically cut off. But I like to leave mine on. You don't have to if you don't want to. That is a portion that you can go ahead and cut off, render down for beef tallow, or dice it up and fry it up in some already rendered down beef tallow, and just have some really lovely crispy fat bits. But please don't throw it away. Every bit of this you are able to eat, and every bit of this is good for you while you're on the carnivore lifestyle. Use everything you buy, especially a ribeye. You don't want to throw any of that away. And you can say that, oh, you wasted money by buying fat. Yeah, I am 100% content with saying that, yes, I spent money on some fat, because this is good quality flavor. So once your steaks are cut, you're going to put them in either storage bags, zip them up and put them in the freezer, or you're going to put them into vacuum seal bags. I encourage you, until you familiarize yourself with the different cuts of meat, to go ahead and label those until you figure them out. But the biggest thing that you can see, the rib eye. So if you're using regular storage bags, I do want to encourage you, sometimes you can fit 2 rib eyes in there, but don't overcrowd your bag because you do want to pull out as much air as possible for it to have the longest life within your freezer without getting freezer burn or anything messed up like that. And so if you're using normal storage bags, just remember to not overcrowd that bag and pull out as much air as possible. And I can show you later on how I best get the air out when I'm using just the normal storage bags, but today I'm showing you how I'm using my vacuum seal bags, since those really have been a lifesaver since I started saving much more meat. And before these all go into the freezer, I'm going to save off 2 of these so that Mrs. Goforth and I already have dinner ready to go for tonight. That's the beauty of this. You're meal prepping, you're saving for the future, but you're also ready to go rather than having to wait for something to thaw tonight. And there we have it, folks. I was able to get 13 roughly 20-ounce steaks out of the 17-pound entire rib roast. And what I love most about this is I get to choose the thickness of my steak, how big it is, how small it is, and I'm not at the mercy of the butcher or the standard of that store. I have same quality, better cuts, and best of all, lower costs. And if you're wanting to use any of the tools that I use today, I'll add those links in the description. You don't have to use anything fancy, but I wanted to show you what I use to save time and effort to make sure that I have a good sealed meat to last as long as I need it to in the freezer. If this video has helped you in any way, like it and share it with someone who could use some coaching and bulk buying and storing and meal prepping and getting ready for this new year, or just getting ready to start carnivore on any day of the year. And I encourage you to subscribe if you want to see more of my journey, see more meals, deals, real life, real results along my journey of the carnivore lifestyle. So I'm gonna throw these in the freezer, and I'm gonna get these 2 thrown on the grill so that I can feed Mrs. Goforth, the kids, and myself. And until next time, guys, go forth and carnivore.